You know the old saying, you never get a second chance to make a first impression? That phrase is incredibly true in our business. In entertainment, your first impression can mean everything. It can mean the difference of booking a job or not booking a job, having an audition or not having an audition. That first impression can get you in the door and make things happen. And for an actor, that first impression is the headshot. First and foremost, casting directors, producers, they're going to see your headshot and they're going to make decisions about whether or not you get seen based on that one image. So it's incredibly important to make that image an investment in your future. And to do that, you want to find the right photographer, someone who's going to work with you to craft the perfect image, the perfect first impression. And I suggest you check out portraitsbypeggy.com. Peggy's been doing photography since the 80s, and she really knows her stuff. And she wants to work with you to craft the perfect captured image, the one that captures the uniqueness of you and helps you book the job. She wants to work with you. She wants to really get into who you are, what sort of jobs you're trying to book, and help you get the perfect image. So check out portraitsbypeggy.com and book your portfolio session today.
You've heard us talk quite a bit about the Fringe Festival over the last few weeks on the podcast. I want to make sure that you are looking out for one more show. We were unable to get guests from this show on the podcast before the Fringe Festival begins, but I want to make sure that you take a look at The Beautiful Machine. It's a sci-fi pop rock musical, and it's a Centro Cultural de la Raza at Balboa Park. As part of Fringe. The Beautiful Machine is set in a dystopian, futuristic, enclosed city where the government has turned to inhumane population control techniques, exterminating those who do not qualify as complete or viable specimens for procreation. A newly promoted engineer named Ben Phoenix has recently been exiled to the dark fringes of society. Alone and distraught, he has been left with nothing, and yet he is the most talked about person in the city. Why is his name on so many tongues? Why is everyone fighting to recruit him? Is he the one with the key to bringing down the regime? Find out by watching The Beautiful Machine, part of this year's San Diego Fringe Festival. You can get tickets at sdfringe.org/tickets. Welcome back to the Intellectual Podcast. I'm your host, David Dawson. This is episode number 196 with Jennifer Paredes and Paco Mufote. This episode was recorded in the middle of production on a film called Invisible, which I had the pleasure of filling in as the audio guy on for 2 days. Thanks to Mr. Frank Forth, the legendary Frank Forth, for landing me the job. I had the opportunity to work with some very fine people on production in Mexico. They did 2 days of production in Mexico on this film, just north of Ensenada on the coast. And in a break on filming, on one of our 2 days down there, I managed to sit down with actress Jennifer Paredes and actor Paco Mufote, and we chatted about the film. We chatted about the experience of being in Mexico. Paco is out of Tijuana. Jennifer is out of San Diego. And we come in on this interview, or discussion really, in the middle of kind of a chat, a trade chat, if you will, that Jennifer and I were having about PR and actors being comfortable in the PR machine, and how appearing on podcasts such as The Intellectual and others that are around town can be a good training ground for actors to kind of learn what it's like to be on that side of their job, which is promoting their films and promoting themselves. And it's a very interesting discussion, one that I've found myself having more and more often with people over the last 6 months or so. So you get a little bit of insight into how I view the podcast in some ways when it comes to our local talent and them appearing on the show. So this is a very entertaining chat. We did it on a cabin on the beach in Mexico, and I think you can still hear a little bit of the surf in the background. But I had a really good time working with these people. Jennifer is a delight, and I'd not worked with her before, and it was a real pleasure getting to know her over the course of 2 days on set in Mexico. Here it is, the 196th episode of the Intellectual Podcast with Jennifer Paredes and Paco Mufote.
Talk hard and enjoy the mindgasm. The Intellectual Podcast starts now.
But I mean, a big part of it too, though, is when you start doing independent features, like going to festivals and supporting the films that you're a part of is part of it. Whether it's big Hollywood film or a smaller film, you need to support the films that you're a part of. And being able to support the films that you're a part of and being able to show up for Q&As and red carpet events and stuff is one of the things that helps you land roles on smaller budgeted films, because they need you to be able to do that. They need you to be able to step up and handle that stuff, because they can't afford the PR department. They can't afford a marketing firm to handle all of the press that a film needs to find success.
Yeah.
So, you know,
that's such a bizarre thing to think about, how, like, because, I mean, at least for me, and I'll speak for myself, I've been so focused on trying to learn how to become a better actor and trying to, you know, tweak my craft and adjust that part of it. But yeah, that's actually really, I mean, my agent was talking about, he like posts little tiny Twitter videos on Twitter every once in a while to just kind of give people tidbits about the business. And one of the things that he'd said was, that a big factor behind a big thing that people are looking for before they cast an actor for, say, a pilot, is whether or not they would be able to handle that sort of pressure of doing the PR stuff. And that's like, that to me was a huge discovery, because it's true. Like, they're not, I don't know. It just, well, like you said,
you were so focused on the craft, and the craft itself is showing up on set, knowing your lines, hitting your marks, doing good work. Right. But that's part of what the job is. Right. It's not the entirety of the job, because inevitably you, the actor, is part of what's being marketed in any project you're in. Yeah. Especially when you're a lead. Your name is on the bill. Right. And part of having your name on the bill means people want to talk to you about the project and about your experience. And there's a point where that becomes the norm. And yeah, granted, it's probably not the norm right now with where you're at, where a lot of us are at in our careers. But at some point, that's where we're going. That is the ultimate kind of down the road. Yeah. If you're growing yourself as an actor in this particular business. No, yeah, I see. I absolutely. So I always find it interesting talking to people where they're like, oh, I feel so uncomfortable doing an interview and chatting. And well, hey, we've been chatting for a couple hours today, you know, at lunch and hanging out and whatever. So I'm a fairly relaxed guy. It's easy to talk to. But if you get nervous talking to me after we've already kind of established a little bit of a friendship and working relationship, then what are you going to do when they sit you down in front of, you know, the entertainment reporter for the San Diego Union Tribune? Sure, no, yeah. You know, like, I guess it's, it's just something will start happening. Right, no, I hear what you're saying. Yeah. It's just something that I don't have any experience doing or any sort of coaching doing, so that's just it, though. Where do you get that experience? Well, do they have like coaches for that kind of stuff, or like not really? People? I mean, actually, right now there's like it feels like it's interviewing. Yeah. Natural on you. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and this is what we're doing right now. Like, you know. Okay, we're doing it. It's happening. I just put you on the spot. I know, you totally did. I put a mic in your hand. You're like, are we recording? Slipped a mic over here. Yeah, you know. But I mean, it's like, welcome to PR 101. Like, be ready to talk about yourself and your film at any given time. Oh God, I hate talking about myself. I guess it's something that I just have to get over. But well, and that's an interesting thing too, because, you know, obviously a lot of people are really private. and don't like to share. I mean, we talked about that.
Yeah.
So part of the task as a public figure, which is what an actor ultimately becomes as a public figure, because you're putting your work out there for other people to see and approve or disapprove of and want to discuss in an open forum. Part of being an actor is learning how to guard what you want to keep private, but be able to talk in such a way where people feel like you're open to them. Because if you come across as standoffish or snobby or whatever, that can affect whether or not people enjoy watching you in a movie. It's very strange. It's maybe not fair, but it does happen. And so you know, weird. I've kind of viewed my podcast, and this has been an evolving thought about what my podcast is for several years. But I view my podcast as an opportunity for up and coming artists that I like to talk to have that opportunity to have a chance to have a comfortable interview situation with somebody who's not out to make you look bad. Because I'm not out to make anybody look bad. I've actually had people criticize the show for not being controversial enough.
For not being controversial enough?
Yeah, because I don't get into it with my guests. I don't like stick it to
ask
them
like the
and
hot button questions.
Yeah, you know, there's some people I know in town who have hot button issues, and you know, I know enough about the community generally in San Diego to ask questions that could really like put somebody in a corner, but that's not my goal.
Yeah. Cool.
My goal is to provide an opportunity for people to learn, to grow, to share their experience, to gain some exposure. Maybe some directors listening in and looking for a lead actress, and they hear your podcast and they go, oh, I should check out her reel. I should go to her IMDb page and take a look, you know? I mean, for me, that's what this is all about. I kind of don't even
want to think about that, because then that just makes me feel like this is an audition, and never mind. Let's go back to casual talking.
I like how incredibly, like, her face just lit up.
It lit up?
It's so funny. You're super nervous, but your face is like...
I guess it's my coping mechanism.
Yeah, you're like really bright and smiley.
Please don't ask me any crazy questions.
That's incredible.
Yeah. This is beautiful.
Yeah,
this space is beautiful.
So we're actually in between shoots on Invisible, the short film that you're starring in.
Sort of, yeah.
I'm doing sound, and we're in Mexico.
We're not in Ensenada anymore. Where are we?
We're north of Ensenada.
About 15 miles.
Yeah, we're about 15 miles north of Ensenada on the coast.
Okay.
And we're about, 20 miles south of Rosarito?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're right on the beach in a cabin.
Yeah, this is incredible.
Lovely.
Like, I know you said you haven't seen Lethal Weapon, but this is literally what, like, Mel Gibson's character lived in the Lethal Weapon movies, right?
Right on the beach.
Yeah, right on the beach, converted trailer.
That was so
like
ridiculously phony to have a trailer on the beach in Los Angeles. Come on.
Yeah, but it's the dream, right?
Yes.
This place is wondrous. It's beautiful. Like, I'm sitting on a couch that is super comfy, and there's just miles and miles of ocean outside of our windows.
The sun's come out, the water's nice and blue.
Out, yeah, it's beautiful out. You can see
whitewash is really white. Looks gorgeous.
Shimmering water.
This is what?
So
Playa Saldamando.
Playa Saldamando. Did I say it right? Yeah. Yeah. Yes. I'm working on my Spanish.
Who are you sitting next to? Mic to the mouth. Come on.
This is my friend Diego. He's a sailor. Capitan Diego. No. You introduce yourself.
My English is bad.
It's okay. What are you doing on the film, Diego?
In the phone?
On the film. What's your job?
Assistant to DP.
Assistant to the DP.
Yes.
Now this is an interesting shoot because you guys were shooting in America for several days, and now we're here in Mexico for 2 days of shooting. Have you ever done an international shoot like this before, Jen?
I did a short film, I think like 2 years ago, where we shot.
And the DP snoring in the back room.
Or
know if
Duffy's
anybody can
taking a
hear
nap.
it.
Well, because we're about to start shooting in like what?
Yeah,
well,
we've
how much
got like
time
an
from
hour
now?
and a half break here.
Oh, an hour and a half? I thought we only had an hour.
Well, we wait
An hour
for
and
the
a half?
time.
Yeah.
What are we waiting for again?
We're waiting for the sun to
sun.
to go
Sun to
further
come
down
Oh, okay.
because it's.
Are we gonna be racing
directly
against the
above
sun
right
again
now.
today?
We want it further down.
Oh, I see. Crazy. So I did a short film called Yesternow a couple of years ago with Renee Madrigal. And we shot one scene where we crossed the border. And so he was like shooting us as we were crossing the border because the idea was that my character, spoiler alert, was getting deported. But because she didn't have any papers, and she this is kind of ambiguous how it happened, but we shot as we were walking across back to Mexico, but that was like the extent of shooting.
So you walked
internet.
across.
Yeah,
They
and like we
shot
had to
that,
go back up the
and then
stairs a couple of times, and that was actually kind of scary because there were like guards, you know.
They're not really okay with you going
Yeah,
up and
and so
down,
it
right?
felt super shady. But that was the extent of my experience. So I haven't like shot scenes and spent like the night in Mexico shooting, but it's beautiful out here. I don't know. It just kind of, I feel like atmosphere does so much. It adds so much character in this film, and I mean in general too.
Well, like we were shooting earlier in an old phone booth. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's hard to find a phone booth in California at all. But,
Yeah, and that was a cool phone booth too.
but it was like a cool old phone booth. It was red and the paint
It was
was
like
flaking
a
off.
turquoise phone. It was beautiful.
Everyone's
trying to pass off.
It's like the hot potato microphone. Come on, Paco. You can say hello.
Yes.
Paco's gonna say hello. He's gonna
we
jump
go.
on. So we got Diego handing the mic off to Paco. Hi, Paco.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good.
Do you want to sit on this couch?
It is so nice being here
This couch is
And
a
sharing.
big,
Hot
comfy
couch.
couch.
Look at that.
and sharing.
This is like, I wish I had the cameras going because I've got a full on talk show set going now. I'm on the high chair and all my guests are on the couch. And we got a guy snoring in the back.
We got Mr. Manny
Manny.
Dancing Queen. Dancing
Paco, what's your last name?
Yeah, my name is. Well, I'll give you my real name.
Ooh.
Juan Francisco González Aguilar. And my acting name is Paco Mufote.
Paco
Paco
Mufote?
Mufote.
Yeah.
That's
Nice.
a cool name.
Yeah.
How'd you come up with that?
And that came up with because I like music, photo, and theater.
Mm-hmm.
So I started in music as a musician, playing the drums
Uh-huh.
long time ago, and then I got into the photo, doing some photo things like social events and whatever I could with my camera.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, I decided, like around when I was 25 years old, I decided to go into a theater workshop.
Mm-hmm.
I was pretty afraid of
How old were you?
at 25. Oh, right now I'm 42.
So you didn't start acting until you were in your mid 20s?
Yes, 25.
Wow.
I was afraid because I heard so many things about acting workshops, and now I consider myself in that time like not being in kind of like that type of outgoing person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I said, no way, I cannot do that. I won't be able to. So I said, let's give it a try.
Mm-hmm.
So I got in love. And I'm here.
You've been
Cool.
doing it ever since?
Yes.
Mufote.
Since then, Mufote.
So Mu for music.
Music, photo, and
photo.
theater.
Mufote. Paco Mufote.
Paco Mufote.
That's a cool name.
That's cool.
It's way better than David S. Dawson. My dad intentionally gave me the most boring name he could.
What? Estasin?
David S for Sean.
Oh, S.
Dawson, yeah.
Oh, S.
There's
Dawson. Got
another
it.
David Dawson in the business. He's an actor in Wales. So I had to
Wow.
officially go with my middle initial. So
Is that like an IMDb thing? Did you have to
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, otherwise I'd be David Dawson 12 or something. The hell with that.
It's a lot of David Dawson.
Number 1.
The one and only Davis Dawson.
Yeah. There is only one. There can be only one. I imagine there's only one Paco Mufote.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Did I hear you also teach?
Yes. I do.
I was listening while I was setting up. Where do you teach and what do you do? What do you do with
in
that?
Tijuana or whatever is possible? Because sometimes there have been some invitations in other states, and yeah, I have enjoyed it.
That's cool.
Do you teach mostly screen acting for like the camera or theater? Or
I consider like in between something that might help to apply either in theater or on the camera.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
because it's all really the same thing. It's just they're all the
It's just a
technical
question of
parts of
intensity.
yeah.
Intensity, yeah, and technical things like there are so many technical things about theater that I'm still trying to learn, like projecting in a way that you're protecting your instrument, or being able to cheat out in order to tell the story to everyone in the audience.
Well, that's interesting because actually cheating out is the same as opening yourself up to the camera, which a lot of film actors forget about too.
Yeah, that's something. Yeah, I've opening up to the camera has been something that's something that Manny's always telling me to do.
I was actually
I
came in and watched you guys shooting a couple days ago. And you like turned to talk to the guy that you're talking to, and your turn was away from camera.
Right. It's so bizarre because it's like, and that kind of goes back to the idea of like you can take a class and it can be, you'll learn so much and it's super valuable. But like, for example, in my acting class, we would do this repetition exercise, which is where you just stand. It's all about connecting with the person. And that's all really wonderful stuff. But then once you go into a film setting where you're working with people and like it's still taking me some time to be aware of the camera and how I can juggle both being fully connected to the moment and this other person and telling the story effectively by opening up to the camera without getting too in your head about it, that's something that I'm still trying to
because you need to like
out.
be aware of where the camera is, but also somehow able to like blot it out of your vision and not think about it. But if you're not thinking about it at all, then you're turning away from camera and everybody sees the back of your head too much. So it is a strange, weird thing that you have to think about when you're an actor. But stage actors are the same thing. They don't want to be looking up stage all the time.
Right. Yeah.
You need to turn down stage so that the audience can see you.
Yeah.
And then that crap gets really weird in the round.
The round is, well, I've worked in the round once. And no, actually a couple of times. And that's like, it's this weird dance that you kind of have to do, and directing in the round seems like it would be a really tricky thing to do.
It's far more of a choreography thing. Where you don't want anybody to be still for too long because you're not providing a third of the audience or a quarter of the audience with anything to look at.
Right. And I guess a challenge would be to effectively tell the story to everyone in the space, but not make it seem like it's a dance either,
right.
Like, and I don't know too much about directing, but it seems like it would be a weird challenge
it's complicated.
to do. Yeah.
I like to feel like when I'm directing on film, my job is to tell you when you have forgotten where the camera is. So you don't have to think about it. So if you're not having to think about it, you can do the scene. And then if you turn the wrong way, my job is to go, okay, that was wonderful, because it's always wonderful. But I need you to turn this way on that turn, and then then you've got it and you can move forward. But that way you're not the one having to constantly look at where the camera is.
Right.
But then as a director, you're always juggling everything too. Like, is everything in frame? Do we have that going? Is the audio doing good?
Yeah.
Did my actor turn the right direction? You got 60 things as a director you're trying to keep track of all the time as well.
And
so,
then, and I
think
think
people
that
realize how incredibly intricate and difficult it is to make a movie.
It really takes a lot. Like, you have to have a really good group of people who are talented and who know what they're doing and who have a very specific point of view, like a strong point of view to add to the, boiling pot of the project. Because then if you hire people whose eye, whose ear, whose point of view that you trust, whose artistic perspective you value, then that as a director helps you kind of, I don't know, let them do their job and not be so worried about trying to juggle everything.
You personally
right?
have to be thinking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been telling everybody that I've been spending the last 17 years building my team. And I think I'm finally starting to get to the place where we're almost there.
Yeah.
Where I can just go, this is what we're doing. And I can just focus on talking to the actors and everything else is going to get done.
Yeah.
I'm almost there. Just a couple little pieces that need to be tweaked, but
this project
17 years of working on that.
Yeah, wow, that's a long time trying to find a cool group of people. I feel like this project for me has been one of the few experiences where I've been surrounded by really talented people who are able to work together for a common goal. And there's like no ego, it's not about any of us, there aren't any super high stakes for any of us personally. And because of that, there's a sort of freedom to just play and discover moments instead of trying to
well, you mentioned no
force
ego.
Things happening.
And I think a big important part of the no ego thing is it makes a safe space.
Yes, absolutely.
Egos are what make spaces unsafe.
Yeah.
And once you can get into a place where ego is kind of left at the door,
right,
and that space is really safe for you to try things and do things and experiment and not feel like anybody's going to harp on you for
trying something,
going someplace.
For living a little.
That's a tough space to get into, to where
it is.
People feel safe because
it's risky.
You seem to have
right?
calmed down now.
Yeah, I know.
By the way, right?
I'm so chill.
And I'm going to make a note here. It usually takes about 20 minutes for nervous people to settle in. We're at 25.
Okay.
So you're fitting right into the pattern. It's all right.
I'm also very comfy and I have a pillow over me that's like protecting me.
And you're surrounded by, two gorgeous men. But figuring out how to get into a space where you can settle, where you can feel relaxed.
Yeah. It's hard.
It's really difficult.
It's really
especially when it's a
difficult.
bunch of strangers, when you haven't worked with people before and you don't know what their agenda is.
Yeah.
Whether they're there just to work or there to make themselves look good, or you don't know that. And it takes a while to find where you fit with them. Yeah,
like on Monday. Was that Monday that we were at the house? Yes. Yeah. So we were at the house on Monday. I found that I had to adjust because the day prior to that and the day before, so we started shooting on Saturday. Saturday it was just me, Diego, Manny, Danny, and Lorena. So it was a very stripped down group of people, and we had all just kind of like found our vibe. And then Sunday, that we added a couple more people, but it was still kind of, there was still that vibe. And then on Monday, like, we had a bunch of new people, a bunch of new energies come in to set, and I found myself trying to reconnect with the sort of calm, safe thing that I had created for myself and fostered with people the days before.
Right.
And it was tricky because there were a lot of new faces, and like when I saw you, we were like in the middle of a shoot. Yeah, and I was like, I don't know who you are. I
popped in at like 4 p.m. So you guys have been at it for a while.
Yeah, and you popped in at like this really weird time too, because we had to do this like costume change because sound, and it was just this.
Yeah, I walked in and Frank was frazzled. He's like,
Yeah.
having sound issues.
Oh,
I'm like, okay, Frank.
He's so sweet, and I felt really bad, because and he asked me afterwards what threw me, which I'm really glad that he asked me that, because I don't think I would have thought about what it was that actually kind of threw me. And I think it was just that I was ready to go. I was in wardrobe. I was all mic'd. Well, I wasn't mic'd up because we were using a boom at the time. And then all of a sudden we had to do this big shift. And then that, for me, adjusting to that shift after I was already ready to go just kind of threw me. And then we also had like a baby on set earlier that day who was super cute, but like it was weird trying to pretend like that was my child, because it just wasn't. I don't know. That was just a weird thing. Yeah.
Who was daddy?
Did it really come out of me? Yeah. And so when I saw you, I said hi because I didn't know who you were. And I don't know, it was just, there were just so many things that happened that made it really challenging for me to kind of find my breath again and like reground myself and find that sort of relaxed, safe space. And I guess maybe that's just like an ongoing process to try to figure out what it is that,
for my part,
safety.
and I told you this earlier today, I felt like I was the invasive species coming in, to just pop in, do some stuff and leave. And I didn't mean to stick around as long as I did, but Frank was in the middle of dealing with audio issues. So I was trying to just kind of quietly be in the background and not interfere with the process, because I really respect the space that actors need. But like you said hi, and that just like made me so happy that that this actress who's in the middle of her process, and I was trying not to interfere with, took the time to recognize that I was there and said hello. Really like just kind of put me at ease for being in the room. And for whatever space you were in, you made my space really nice that day.
Oh, cool.
Because I had walked in feeling nervous about walking in on everybody doing what they were doing, and having done it for a few days.
Yeah.
And knowing that I'd be coming in today to work with you guys for the last couple of days, also coming in really late in the process and not being part of that unit that you've created over a few days. But the fact that you took a moment to stop in the middle of your process and say hello to me really put me at ease on Monday.
Oh, cool.
And made me feel more comfortable coming in today.
Oh, I'm so
Even
glad
though I was
to
super
hear
nervous
that.
and ended up at the set in Mexico like an hour early because I was really nervous. I was like running late.
You were on time.
I was the only person on time apparently. I'm like, it's 9:30. Nobody's here. I'm just going to go.
We've all been on Mexico. We've all been on a different timetable.
I do feel like we've been in this weird time warp this past week. I don't know, because we were talking about it this last night when we were shooting a scene. We shot this one shot late at night at the theater. We were waiting for things to get set up, and we were talking about how at least for me and for a couple of us on working on this project, we kind of feel like the time that we've spent this last week shooting has been this bubble that exists beyond, like the time that we go by, like the Chronos time, and how we've just kind of all been in a little bit of a daze. And I'm sure, Diego, you've been in such a daze because you're here from Mexico City.
Yes.
And Manny is too. So I'm sure it's just this completely different experience for you to, I don't know, be on the shoot and traveling and creating this thing in a weird magical wormhole. Yeah.
He's like, see?
Yes.
Do you feel more comfortable that now that we're shooting? I'm curious about how your experience is changed shooting in San Diego versus shooting here
Hand him the mic.
in Rosarito?
2 microphones.
Está peor así.
Oh.
But that's an interesting thing because we're talking about that safe space. There is kind of a bubble that you create around your project.
Yeah.
The kind of intense, rapid friendships that you create with people that you work with on a film.
Yeah.
And the kind of weird hours that you work, because it's not 9 to 5, right? Like sometimes it's we're meeting at 9:30, we'll be in a different country in an hour, and then we're going to work until 1 in the morning. And then, we're going to get up at 5 a.m. and work until noon, and then some people are flying away. It's a strange...
Yeah, it's like all of these different life paths are kind of crossing.
On. Yeah, everybody comes together. You create a little bubble that has its own timetable.
Right. Yeah.
Doesn't function along with anything else going on in the world. Just it's its own little thing. And then the bubble bursts and everybody kind of goes off in their own directions. Right.
Right. It's like we're all putting so much of our own personal like creative intention and energy into this thing, and then it like marinates with everybody else's intention and everybody else's artistry, and then and for me it ends once we're not shooting anymore, but then it continues as Danny starts editing and Manny starts doing color correction and there's music in there. Danny's looking at me.
We're podcasting.
Oh, good. Go for it.
We're talking about how everybody's like putting in.
Estamos aprovechando ya que estamos aquí.
That's
Hacemos
good,
otra película.
But it's just audio?
Yeah, just audio.
We should shoot at least to get it there.
Well, I have a TV show as well, so when you're ready to do that, like I'll bring you in for that.
We can do some more PR.
I go out so you can talk about nice things about me.
Okay, the director's out of the room. So what do you really think of your director? Just between us and the thousands
of people listening. Danny's great. He's this he has this sort of very laid back thing that sometimes for me, as who likes to know exactly what's going on, it kind of drives me a little crazy sometimes. But yesterday we were racing against the clock to get a shot done before the sun went down, and it was this really complicated shot, and I had to like actively remember to breathe and calm down. But what ended up happening is like, because we were kind of going with the flow, we were driving and we made a turn, and the turn just screwed up the whole the aperture settings, and so we kind of had to figure out how to fix that, and then we just made a couple of random turns, and then we found this field full of cows, just tons of cows grazing, and we would have never found this field if we didn't kind of let ourselves get lost a little bit, Yeah. And so I think that there's value to kind of to letting something else take over a little bit, and it's kind of like the no ego thing, right? If you can kind of take a step back and still be aware, be aware of where you are and be aware of of what needs to be done, but kind of trust that things will fall into place, then amazing things can happen. Mm-hmm. Like finding this incredible setting, or like we were shooting a shot using a drone, and I picked up Lorena from she was hitchhiking, and her character was hitchhiking, and then we started driving off, and then we just kept driving for a while, and I came back turned around so that we could reset, and all of a sudden I saw the drone among like all of these black birds, and it was it's this incredible, amazing moment that sure, it's not going to be in the film. I mean, well, the image that I saw isn't going to be in the film, the image of the drone, with all of these birds, but it was just so fulfilling, just to see that sort of surreal, almost Black Mirror image, you know. I don't know if Black Mirror is a good. I don't know why I thought of Black Mirror, but just like this, it was just a gift, such a cool gift to recognize.
I got to
that
shoot.
was just beyond all of us.
I got to work as a first AD on a film on the USS Midway a few weeks back, and we had a drone flying over the ship. And in between takes, the drone pilot kept flying off and going over the cruise ship terminal. And the seagulls were chasing the drone everywhere it went.
Crazy!
It was the most incredible thing to watch. Like this line of seagulls just chasing his drone. And he was banking and doing stuff and like just playing with these seagulls.
That is crazy!
And we're like, okay, we need to shoot. And he'd bring it back over the ship and he put it into hover and the birds would just fly away. It was incredibly cool. But again, that's like my personal like experience on that shoot.
Yeah.
And I get to like remember that every time I watch the movie. Nobody else is going to think of that.
Right.
But me and the drone pilot. Right?
Yeah. What a wonderful
but you
memory.
get these little moments when you're making a film, like little personal moments that are yours to keep. Like you're putting it all out there for everybody else.
Right.
But you get these moments that you get to keep for you.
And I feel like that happens when you're able to let go of your own want to control it. Because it's like, we really don't know what's going to happen. And when you let go of like your preconception of what might happen, I feel like that's when you open up a valve for magic to happen.
I like to call it surrendering to the experience.
Yeah.
If you can surrender to the experience, that's when you find magic.
Yeah. I've been doing a lot of that lately.
Yeah.
It's great. It's scary. Oh God, it's so scary, but it's wonderful.
Yeah.
Magic's cool.
And so, Paco, 25, you decided to act. So that was kind of your moment where you just kind of surrendered to the experience and allowed yourself to try it and be open to it. When did you jump into acting, Jen?
Well, I mean, I don't really know. I mean, I just like pageants, like Christmas pageants and stuff.
Yeah.
In elementary school. I wouldn't really consider that acting, but it was like
Performing.
It was it was being in that world where you're with a group of people and you rehearse things and then you do it for your parents. I didn't do any sort of like CYT like organized stuff. So it wasn't really until I did a play in high school. I did a West Side Story, and that was the first time that I had been in a play that rehearsed, that we met, consistently for a few weeks and then put the show up. I would say that was probably when I first started practicing or let myself kind of fall into that deep end, I remember taking my friend aside during lunch because I had the audition and I was freaking out, and I just wanted her to see the audition before I actually did it. And she was like, "That's amazing. That's really great." And I had to have that sort of reassurance from somebody else because it was a scary thing, to sing in front of people. Was it one of those things
where your friends kind of knew that's where you should be before you were even able to admit it yourself?
No, it wasn't because we'd never
talked about it.
She'd never heard me sing before. So I think it kind of threw her off too, because it was just a part of me that I didn't really reveal. And even now I'm trying to be more okay with just singing with sorry, I'm getting distracted. Singing's a scary thing. I don't know why.
Well, I'm Filipino. I've been having to sing since I was like able to walk. Mom would throw a mic in my hand and be like, "Sing for my friends."
Oh man.
Okay, I know that fear.
In most acting like exercises, when they're about to get to the singing part, they just run away.
That's when people run.
Yes.
People get so scared about singing in
Yes.
public.
Yes.
Well, it's because like you're
But
really
like everybody
bearing
sings
yourself.
in the shower.
Yes.
You know.
Right.
And most of them are pretty good actors. They have been doing performances in front of audiences, like in theater. But then when they get to the singing part, they shrink,
What is that? I wonder why that is.
bringing out the listening to themselves.
Well, I think there's something about music that just kind of taps into an emotional kind of rawness. Like songs tell a story faster than you can speak the story, like the emotional
Right.
weight of something.
Yeah.
And I think that scares people because somehow singing feels more vulnerable than just talking. Like you can kind of lie to somebody when you're talking to them, but like if you go to sing a song about love and you don't feel love in your heart, it's really obvious. You know,
It's
hard,
exposing,
It's hard
yeah.
to fake your way through the emotions of a song.
Yeah.
I think that scares people. On top of just the kind of heightened fact that a lot of people think their voice sounds bad.
But it's weird. Like I have a decent voice, you know.
If she does say so herself.
Well, I can sing. I can hold a tune and I can sing and I have a style and I can do that. And I can play with it and I can jam with it. But doing that with new people freaks me out for some reason. I just told a friend of mine last night that for some reason, like I didn't know why, but I was intimidated to sing in front of them. And it was just, I don't know. Even though I know that I can do it, there's just still something about it. I don't know if it's like a spiritual thing or just this energy. I don't know. There's something really mystical about music and about
What's funny,
singing,
when I was growing up, I could sing for all of my mom's friends, like anytime. No big deal. So I sang at parties at our house constantly. But my friends outside of, the immediate family friends who weren't around for my parents' parties had no idea that I could sing.
Do you
Because
sing
Yeah.
Yeah? I want to hear you sing.
I was saying we gotta do karaoke tonight.
Oh, that's right. Do you think we're going to be able to do karaoke?
Yeah.
Oh, I want to.
But
Come on, they
I
gotta
wouldn't
make an
sing.
exception for us.
I didn't sing at school in front of my friends and stuff unless I absolutely had to.
Yeah.
So like any time that it came up where I had an opportunity, like in Spanish class, I sang a song for one of the Spanish speaking,
Like a project?
assembly things that we did.
Okay.
I sang Sebastian the Crab from The Little Mermaid, but in Spanish. And it was a solo part, and I stepped up and sang my piece and stepped back, and like all my friends were blown away.
Wow.
They had no idea I could sing.
Crazy.
And they were like, "Oh, I didn't know you could sing." And I'm
Were
like,
you
"Yeah."
were you in did you ever do like a choir or something?
No,
or
I never did choir.
So you just sang? You just kind of
Yeah,
did,
well, my
did your
mom
mom
was a
sing?
singer.
Okay, your mom
That's
sang.
how my parents met. Actually, she was singing
Oh, really?
in Manila, and my dad heard her. He was
Oh
on
my
shore leave, and he
God.
could hear her from the street. And so he and his buddies went into the bar to go see who was singing because he loved her voice so much.
That is beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh my God, my heart is blossoming. At
Yeah,
the thought
someday
of
I
that.
want to write that screenplay and actually tell my parents' story because
Oh my God.
it's pretty outrageous, the whole story.
Wow.
But yeah, my mom could belt out a tune.
Cool.
And thankfully, a couple years ago, we were able to video record us singing "You Don't Bring Me Flowers" together. We were on a princess cruise, and we did the karaoke competition one night.
You and your mom?
Yeah,
Together?
so we sang
Oh,
a duet
cool.
of "You Don't Bring Me Flowers."
Oh,
so I've got
neat.
that memory to hold on to, which is wonderful.
That is so sweet. Does your dad do music?
My dad was a nuclear engineer.
Okay.
And a writer. So
interesting.
I picked up my ability to write screenplays and stuff, I think, from my dad. and I picked up my desire to perform, I think, from my mom.
Cool.
Which made it really weird when they were both shocked that I wanted to go into entertainment. Like, how could you expect me to be anything other, you know?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
You're a writer, she's a performer. It's in my blood.
Put them together.
That is cool. Wow.
Yeah.
God, what a sweet story, though. Your mom was singing. I'm sorry, I'm still like hung up on that. That's a beautiful image. I'm
She was,
in love with
17
that.
when he heard her singing at the bar, and he went in and talked to the bartender and said, "Hey, I want to meet the girl singing on stage," because he like fell in love with my mom the second he saw her. She was gorgeous. I mean, you can't blame her, but blame him. But the bartender was like, "Oh, you know, you have to talk to her mom. She's sitting over there." So my dad went and talked to my grandmother and said, you know, hi. And he was in his Cracker Jack outfit because he was in the Navy and he was on shore leave.
Is your dad American?
Yeah, my dad's white, like super white, and my mom's like super Filipino. So I look Samoan. But my grandmother's like, yeah, sure, I'll introduce you to my daughter. And so my dad went and sat with his buddies, and they listened to my mom finish her set, and she came off the stage, and my grandmother tells her, "You need to go talk to that white boy over there. He wants to talk to you."
Yeah.
And my mother, of course, went, "No, I don't want to go talk to him. I have no interest in talking to any American boys because they all want the same thing." You know? And my grandmother's like, "You're gonna go talk to him," because of course my grandmother just saw a way to get one of her kids to America.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So my mom reluctantly went over to talk to my dad, and the first thing my mom said is, "Which one of you is Mick?" My dad goes, "That's me," and she goes, "Okay, I'm gonna sit here, but I am never, ever going to sleep with you. I am not one of those girls." It's the very first thing my mom ever said to my dad.
And are they still together?
No, they got divorced 12 years later.
Okay.
But they remained friends up until the day that my dad died 10 years ago this August.
Oh, wow.
And my mom passed away Mother's Day last year.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
They live on in my heart,
Yeah.
in the stories that I tell. So
Yeah.
thank you for giving me the opportunity to tell that story.
Oh my God,
again.
absolutely. That is a gorgeous, gorgeous meet cute. Like, is that something that you want to write about?
I do.
Yeah.
Actually, my dad started to write it. He was because my dad and I made films together the last like 6 or 7 years he was alive.
Wow.
And I actually took a screenwriting course at Palomar College with my dad. Like a whole semester of screenwriting with my father. It was amazing.
That is wonderful.
Such a great experience.
Very cool.
But he was starting to write that story. He was like 2 pages in when he died.
Wow. You got to write
so,
that, man. That is
yeah.
just such a beautiful image. You know.
Well, and the whole courtship is like just crazy.
Yeah.
The whole story is just crazy.
Huh.
My dad had no idea like the exchange rate issues and stuff, you know? So like he'd order flowers from my mom from the ship.
Uh-huh.
And he'd be like, you know, $100 worth of flowers seems like, you know, fair amount of money. Only that was enough money in the Philippines in the 70s to like completely fill the house with flowers. So like he's trying to court my mom, and he's thinking he's sending her maybe like 24 roses or something, plus the delivery fee. And no, he's like completely filling the house with
Oh my God.
like an entire florist's bundle of flowers.
God.
And of course he was a writer, so he wrote her these like amazing, beautiful love letters, which my mother kept. I actually have still in storage.
That is amazing.
And he just like blew her away with the way he wrote to her.
Oh my God. Yeah.
But whenever he came in for shore leave, like he couldn't have a private date with my mom. It was always chaperoned. And you know, for like 2 years he courted her, and every time he saw her it was with an auntie and an uncle in tow, and wherever he went he had to buy food for everybody.
That is so funny. So old school, man.
Yeah, it was super old school.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to write the story someday.
Yeah.
There's so much to it.
Cool.
And I'm really the only person who like remembers it all because I paid attention when they told me.
Cool.
My mom used to say I remembered it better than she does. So.
Wow.
I think we want to see the
That's
tour.
beautiful.
So maybe maybe here.
So
All the shit we don't want.
how
You know.
Got this way.
you started doing stage in high school?
In high school, yeah.
When did you start doing film? Like how quickly did that transition happen?
When you say that I started doing film, like when I did like a short film or something.
Yeah.
So
Did like I think I did my first short film my senior year in college, so like 4 years later.
So let's try to maybe put this stuff.
And I don't think I ever want to watch it again because I don't I don't remember how well I did, and I probably was horrible. I don't know. So
Also the chairs.
yeah, I did,
Maybe let's get
and then after that,
Yeah.
maybe a year or two after I graduated, I did a
There's a hustle and bustle
film.
going on all
Yeah, there's a
around us.
lot of stuff going on right now. Are we in the way?
No, they said it's okay.
Yeah, are you sure? Okay.
They're just like rearranging the house for the shoot.
I'm loving the show. But
Yeah? Awesome. This is John, everybody. John, the amazing, wonderful cantina bearing.
He's moving your bed out of this room.
I know. There are like 3 beds in this space. That little nook over there was so cool.
Yeah, we're in
a cute little
this like
find.
incredibly cool little like
Is this like a
trailer park.
2020 show or what?
you guys out. do you need, are we in the
Are we
way?
moving everything out of this
Are we
room?
distracting?
Not everything, but that we're moving.
They're moving that couch. So you
We're
gotta,
moving
you gotta move over here.
Okay.
these chairs. Well, you can keep that chair.
Yeah. Give me like 5 minutes.
Yeah, go for it.
Are we wrapping up?
We're getting close.
Okay. Okay. Now things are moving. God, I kind of wanted to play cards.
We'll work around.
We have time.
Let's get that chair.
How much time before we start?
we can see outside.
5:30?
We can put it out. Ready?
Okay. Oh shit, that's like soon.
Time is it now?
Yeah, if you need to do wardrobe change and all that kind of
It's
stuff.
5:06.
Yeah, I
Okay.
should probably do that.
So let's just wrap it up.
Okay. I mean,
Love you, David.
No,
maybe this can
seriously.
be like a
You know how long we've gone?
TBC
You
to
know
be
what- Do
continued.
you have any idea how long we've gone?
43 minutes.
We're at 55 minutes.
Ah!
So I mean, it's already a respectable podcast length. So
Is it
It's not
really?
a big deal. Yeah.
I feel like I could keep talking.
That's what I told you earlier, right?
Yeah,
Like everybody's
yeah.
like, I don't know that I could do an hour.
Yeah.
Well, okay, you hit an hour, and everybody's like, I could keep going.
Yeah, I didn't realize I was so tired. Well, I mean, I don't know how much usable stuff you've got, but yeah.
Well, let's talk real quick about the project. So this is
Okay.
Invisible,
Yes.
and just real briefly, what is it you're doing in this film? What is your character?
What I'm doing. So I'm playing a character who she's gained some notoriety. So she's a filmmaker. She's an editor. She kind of got lost in the commercial world, and that's all stuff that's not really fleshed out in the script, because it starts off with her trying to tell the story, that she wants to tell. So she doesn't want to. She wants to kind of stray away from the commercial world that she's been engulfed in. So she becomes consumed with trying to figure out what this passion project of hers is, and she doesn't quite know what it is, and she leaves her family to try to figure this thing out. And so the film follows her going, basically just trying to like put the pieces together, to find the pieces, and then to figure out what the through line for all of the pieces are. And along the way,
It's a real journey of self-discovery.
yeah. And she meets some interesting characters,
Like Paco.
like Paco.
Who are you playing, Paco?
Mufote. Mufote. That's what it was. So do you want to talk about who your character is? Is that too much of a spoiler though?
Oh, well, we won't say who Paco's
know.
playing. Paco's playing someone very mysterious.
He's
We'll leave it
playing
at
a
that.
very a curious character.
Oh, nice.
They're all curious. The whole
good alliteration.
thing is really curious, actually. Curious character, thank you. It's kind of
That's
I got that other white thing. Perfect.
it's it's kind of out there. It's interesting. I think a lot of artists can relate to it. No, I think a lot of just people in general who have this knack inside of them, this thing that's kind of like bugging them to either find who they are, to really connect to what they are when you strip away all of their labels.
I think a lot of people have that need. They ignore it for a long time, and I think that's what midlife crises are usually about.
Yeah.
Just people finally going, I can't ignore this anymore. I'm unhappy.
Right.
I need to figure out what me is.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's basically kind of what Rebecca's going through.
Cool.
And the shots are beautiful. Manny Manuel Santos is our DP, and he's been making just some really incredible magic with his composition and the shots that he's getting. And Danny's there too, just kind of facilitating everything, and Diego is taking some awesome photos as we're, backstage kind of documenting the whole process. And just everybody on this project is so open and so just like, ready to usher in this really interesting, visually beautiful story. So it's exciting. It's also nerve-wracking. I'm kind of nervous because we're talking about how we have to let go of the things that we've created and let go of the control of the scene that we're about to do, and I'm just we haven't even really talked about it except for when we first met.
A little bit. Some proposals.
Well, that could work out because it keep it spontaneous, right?
Yeah, I hope so. Knock on wood. My pre-shooting anxiety is kicking in right now.
Yeah, but I've kept you busy for an hour, so it's an hour less of pre-shooting anxiety.
Right. And you've kept my brain churning for a little bit of time. I think if I would have taken a nap, it probably would have been difficult for me to get the motors running back. Yeah. Because But I'm really excited to see how this film turns out. And Daniel had shot, well, I don't want to talk too much about it. We get
that a lot on the show. It's all good.
Okay.
Real quick, is there a website or anything for you that people can check out?
Yeah.
Your headshot and your reel and all that sort of thing?
Yeah, I should actually update my website. I haven't updated my website in a while, but you can find me at jenniferparedes.net. I know .net. .com was already taken, but it's okay. My name... Is there they can see? Do I have to? I don't have to spell it out, right?
I'll put it in the show notes.
Okay. Show notes. It's a thing.
And Paco, is there any place that people can check out stuff for you?
Well, yeah, mostly on YouTube. There's not actually a formal reel, but there are a few scenes and mostly on Facebook.
Okay.
Like that, Paco Mufote.
Okay, I'll give you my business card.
Sure.
And you email me some links.
Oh, yes.
For your Facebook and your YouTube videos.
Sure.
And we'll go there and you do the same.
Yeah. People can follow me on Instagram. I'm on
what's your
Instagram.
Instagram handle?
Meowmix, but it's spelled MIYAO_MIX.
Meow.
Meow.
Look
Cool.
at this.
Ooh,
Hey.
director's cut.
Cool?
Francis Ford Coppola, Merlot.
I saved this for a good movie, so today this is a good movie.
This is the one. Hey,
You've
there you
saved.
go.
Are we opening
John?
that tonight?
And with that, with the introduction of the director's cut bottle of Merlot, we're going to sign off on this podcast. Thank you both for joining me.
Thank you for
Awesome.
And thank you for giving
Sharing.
me some time with them. I appreciate it. And I'll put links to everything that's relevant about this film and these two lovely actors on the show notes. So be sure to check it out at theintellectual.com. Till next time, please subscribe on iTunes or Google Play Music or iHeartRadio. We're available pretty much anywhere you can find a podcast.
What?
Make sure
Really?
you subscribe to us. And if you subscribe and if you like what you hear, please drop a review. We always love getting reviews on any of those services. It helps grow the show, and growing the show helps these fine people get more exposure. And we really appreciate you helping out with that. Until next time, I'm David S. Dawson. This is the Intellectual Podcast, and we'll catch you again soon.
Hello there, citizens. I am the terror that flaps in the night. I am the floaty that will not flush no matter how many times you try in the toilet bowl of crime. I am Darkwing Duck, telling you please, talk hard and enjoy the mindgasm. Whatever the heck that means. After all, you are watching Intellectual Podcast with your ears.